The following broadcast is intended for mature audiences. These are real people sharing very real, deeply personal experiences. This content may be considered triggering for others and for those who are sharing. The chat room is a privilege intended for discussions and sharing. You are not being asked to agree, but you are being asked to stay civil and refrain from personal attacks. Listener discretion is advised.
All right, welcome back to Am I Mental, a live podcast where real people share real stories about their mental health issues. Today, KZ's a little bit late. He might be running out of gas on the side of a highway right now, but he will be joining us later. However, we do have our guest on tonight. Her name is R. So we want to go ahead and say hi.
Hey, everybody.
And yeah, I'm going to be monitoring the chat until KZ gets here. But yeah, so I've known R for quite a while now. And
23 years.
Yes, and I was around for when this story happened. So, you want to go ahead and get them started on this a little bit?
I can definitely do that. So, hey, everybody out there. Let me back way up to a couple of years before this even happened and kind of give you some perspective of where my mindset was. So when I was 17 years old, I got pregnant, and I was very much encouraged to either have an abortion or put the baby up for adoption because I was told I was too young, I wouldn't make it work, my child would suffer, everything that everybody feels entitled to tell a teenage mom.
Gee, I don't know any of that either. Teenage
dad. So, the best way to get me to do something you don't want me to do is to tell me to do it. And, honestly, from the minute I found out I was pregnant, I was in love with that baby that I hadn't seen yet. So I decided to keep my baby. And the baby's father and I were high school sweethearts. I gave birth just shy of a month after my 18th birthday. 6 months later, my son's dad decided to join the Army, and we were going to get married. And again, we were told, you can't do it. You're too young. You're going to be really far away from your family, and you're going to have this baby, and you're going to be all alone. So I pretty much gave him the middle finger, and I took off. I left from Las Vegas to North Carolina. While we were in North Carolina, I decided it was an excellent idea to have another baby.
KZ just jumped on with a lot of road noise.
Hey, KZ.
Hey, guys. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's been a fun day, but I'm back in the car, but for whatever reason, my car stereo is not wanting to pick up the call, so I am, a law-abiding citizen here and have my phone up to my ear.
Yeah, you can call back, once you get home, so you don't kill yourself.
Well, I'm en route. I tell you what, if that will probably, give me 15, 20 minutes, I think, is about drive time, and that way I can actually be available.
Yeah, I would much rather you be safe.
Yeah, so episode 2 of last season, it was the bandwidth issue because of COVID. Episode 2 of this season is KZ in his car. So
KZ in the car and helping out family again. You gotta love it.
Yeah, even KZ, you're starting to get some drive safely from the chat. So
all right. Well, I'll tell you what. I will pay attention to driving here, and I will get back on the call here in just a few minutes.
Please do. I don't need a pancake for a co-host.
No, definitely not.
All right. So,
Talk to you guys in.
I guess it's a good breaking point, to let you know that we have John saying hi there, Brandy saying good evening, Vivid Alora said, I love you, R. May, good evening, drive safely, KZ, and John also be safe, so.
Well, hi, everybody, and I love you too, Viv. Where was I? We decided to have another baby. So I had originally wanted 3 children. he didn't want any more, so we compromised with the two. So I tried for several months, finally got pregnant, and gave birth to my second child, my little girl, when I was 20.
Fun fact, I was one of the very first people to know about this baby.
You were the first person to know about that baby.
Oh, there you go.
Before her father even, and my mom. So when she was born, I just felt complete. I didn't want to have another baby. I had my boy, I had my girl, I had my husband, I had my little house. Because everybody had told me that I couldn't do it, it was my goal to be perfect. I had to be the perfect mom. My kids were born. They were immediately on schedules like the books told me to. I read them stories and, before bedtime and sang them lullabies and tucked them in. And they were both potty trained by the time they were 18 months old, and they were speaking in complete sentences by the time they were a year old. Everything I did had to be perfect so that I could prove to everybody that I could do it.
All while going back to school.
Yeah, I was going back to school, and my spouse was active duty military. So I was doing this all by myself. But like I said, I had moved from Las Vegas to North Carolina, and I was all alone. I was far away from my family. I was far away from my friends. I was raised to have a strong distrust of other people because my mom had been molested by her brother-in-law when she was a child. I think she was probably about 12, and it went on for quite some time. And when she told her father about it, his answer to her was, if she can live with him, then we can live by him. So yeah, I know that's getting a few people right now, isn't it?
Yeah, she just saw my head just drop to my chest.
Yeah. So there was this deep-seated mistrust of people in general. So I didn't have babysitters either. My life was about these kids. I had a 2.5-year-old and a newborn, and then a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, and so on and so forth. So it was constantly nonstop. I did get cabin fever, but I encompassed myself in them. Well, when my daughter was about a year and a half old, my husband at the time got orders for a 1-year tour in Korea. And that meant that it was unaccompanied, and I was home alone with these two kids. And I was lonely, and I was overwhelmed, and I was stressed out, and we were having to split his money because I didn't work, so we had to split his one paycheck as freaking E3, E4, whatever he was, lower enlisted, between his necessities in Korea and the necessities at home with the kids. So there's a lot of stress going on there. And I got a phone call from my mom about 3 months after he left. And she told me my brother, who's about 16, 17 years older than me, had a very bad breakup with his girlfriend. And they lived in a very, very small town in Oklahoma. And she was spreading some nasty rumors about him. And he was in danger because, all of these redneck hillbillies were going to come after him. And could he please come out to North Carolina and start over? And my thought was, yeah, first of all, it's family, got to do what you got to do. But my bigger thing was he could help me out a little bit financially. And that's my brother. I could have a babysitter. I could have somebody, I could go to the store without a kid, asking for candy, and I could go to a doctor's appointment, and which I hadn't done in 3 years. I could have somebody to take care of my kids.
Go get a haircut. Your nails done.
Yeah, something, just some me time, and he could help me out financially, throw a little money here and there. Cool, great, whatever.
So really fast before you jump into the rest, because it's a decent, okay point, I think. Some guy named Scott Taylor, love you, baby. John, that's incredible. I had to tell Scott I love him too. And then, the that's incredible part was about everything that you were doing. The single mom, the 2 kids, North Carolina, thousands of miles from your family, all alone for a year. Brandy was given the ouch when I dropped my chin. So, yeah.
Thank you.
You're getting a lot of love in here.
It was hard, but you got to do what you got to do. And if nothing else, I'm a survivor. So my brother came, and it was great there for a little bit. He brought his daughter and her twin girls along with him. The twin girls were the same age as my daughter, and they're about just a few months apart. And his daughter was just a couple years younger than me. And he would always say, oh, you two, you guys need to go out, go out, go bowling, go bowling and, go have some fun. You go out to dinner, go do something. I'm here. I'll watch the kids. Just put them to bed and it'll be fine. So I jumped on that. I mean, I'm not even going to lie. I jumped on that. I had 3-4 years of completely immersed in parenthood. The idea of getting to go out and be an adult was just a great idea for me.
And from where I sat, an entire country away from you, the only time I ever saw you stressed was when there was a hurricane barreling down on you. That was the only time you ever seemed stressed. And even then, you only ever seemed mildly stressed. You're really good at hiding it.
Oh, that first hurricane that hit us, I stood outside with balloons. It was Hurricane Bertha. And I stood outside with balloons and I released them into the wind, and I had written on the balloons, "You can't get me, Bertha." Because I didn't want my kids to be scared.
Right. And then John said that he was raised by a single mom and he knows it's not easy. Mad respect.
Oh, that's so sweet. So things were going great with my brother there for a little bit. And then my then husband just said he was coming home for his mid-tour, so he would be home for a month. So my brother was like, well, I got to get out of here. There's no room here, because it was a small, I think, 1,000 square foot house with 3 bedrooms. And so he was like, I don't want to be in your way during your 1-month reunion. I'm going to go get my own place. And I was like, all right, cool, go. So he got a place not too far away. Ex-husband came home. It was an okay reunion, but that's a story for another time. And then he left again. And that's when things started to go bad, because my brother had asked to buy a vehicle that we had. And I agreed to sell it to him for $1,000, and he could give me $100 a month. Well, he started not giving me anything. It started off being, oh, I'll get you next month and I'll give you a double payment. And then the next month he'd give me $50. And, so finally I was like, you know what? Bite me, dude. And I went and I repoed my truck. And he got really, really mad at me. And he was like, oh my God, you've hurt me. Nobody's ever hurt me the way you did. Whatever, don't care, go away. So he decided to pack up and move back to Oklahoma with his daughter and his 2 grandkids. Cool. See ya, bye. And then the ex-husband came home from Korea. And about a month after he came home from Korea, I got a phone call from one of my sisters. Let me preface this by saying that I am the youngest of 12 children. So when I say sister, brother, whatever, they're all going to be interchangeable. Don't even try to keep it straight as far as that goes. Because I can't even do that.
And just from my own experience, my dad has 9 brothers and sisters. He's the second oldest. Mm-hmm. I know that age difference is so great that when you look at your older siblings, they're more like extra parents than they are siblings in a lot of ways.
Right. Right, like this particular brother that came to stay with me, he's 17 years older than I am.
Right. He
So,
could have been your dad just by age
yeah,
alone.
yeah, same age I was when I got pregnant with my son. So you're absolutely right. Um, so anyway, I got a call from my sister, and she was hysterical crying. And I was like, "What's going on? What happened?" She was a cancer survivor. So my first thought was that her cancer had come back. And she said, "Something horrible has happened." And I said, "Okay, calm down and tell me what happened." Well, when the brother had returned to Oklahoma, he went to stay with a different sister. And she had 5 children, girls. And they ranged in age from 5, 7, 9, 11, and 13. All girls, all 2 years apart, 5 of them. The youngest one, uh, the youngest one was 5 at the time. She was a year older than my son. She was very small. So even though she was 5, she was about the same size as my 3-year-old. And he had encouraged uh, my sister to go grocery shopping. Sorry, I'm getting emotional right now. So shopping
Okay.
for 5 kids, obviously that's going to take a long minute. So he was home alone with the 5-year-old, and he pulled the 5-year-old into his lap and tried to put his hands down her pants. She got away from him. She ran outside. And when she ran outside, she ran into her oldest sister's boyfriend. And she said, "Help me." And she told him what happened. So he kept her with him until her mom got home from the store.
Smart kid, good boyfriend.
Yeah. And he told my sister what had happened. And so she went into a rage. She went inside. She screamed at him. He said, "No, she's lying. She's misunderstood. That's not what happened." She said, "I don't care. Get the hell out of my house." So he left. She made some calls to some other sisters, and the other sisters asked their daughters, "Has your uncle ever done something like this to you?" Well, I have 3 sisters. My first sister has 2 daughters, and he had touched those 2 daughters, inappropriately. My second sister with the 5 children, he had touched all of them inappropriately. My third sister had 1 daughter, the one that was a cancer survivor. And when they approached her and asked her, "Has he ever been inappropriate with you?" she broke down into tears crying. And she said, "If I had known he was going to do it to somebody else, I would have told." And
Ouch.
he had been raping her for several years. Her dad was an alcoholic. Her mom was going through cancer and wasn't expected to live. What he told her was, "If you tell, I'll finish what cancer couldn't do."
Wow.
So she never told, and she thought that she was keeping herself safe. She thought that she was keeping her mom safe. She thought that she was keeping her cousins safe. Come to find out, he was not. So for peace of mind, I took my own child, who was 3 by now, to the doctor and said, I don't know. This is what happened to all of my nieces, but can you check her out? So she had a physical exam. I was kicked out of the room, which was the most difficult thing, knowing what they were doing to her and where they were looking. Doctor came back, called us back in, and she said, "I have found a partially broken hymen, scar tissue, and evidence of trauma." And if you stop and you think about it, when he was there, my daughter was barely 2.
Could barely even really put into words what may have happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a 2.5-year-old. So, yeah. And right now you're getting a lot of like, oh my gods, I'm shaking and sobbing right now. I'm so sorry this happened. You poor baby. Oh my god, I am so sorry. Yeah, the chat's going crazy right now. As you can imagine.
Well, he told you guys, you if you saw the Facebook, it was going to piss you off.
Yep. And we got a new person here, Kat. Oh,
hi, Kat.
Yeah, and this backing up a little bit further, we actually got told that you should have been on Judge Judy over the vehicle, but then you got into this part, so I couldn't get to that. So.
No, I just took it back.
Yeah, so John says, I hope that bastard is rotting in prison. I'm sure that there's a part of the story that he's going to be interested in hearing. I'm not saying which way it goes, but he's going to be interested in hearing.
Yeah,
Scott's sending you hearts.
I love you, baby. For anybody that hasn't figured it out, that's my new man. The kid's father and I didn't work out.
And I'm not allowed to meet Scott.
No, God, no. They're way too much alike. Oh, God, that would be horrifying.
It would be most excellent.
It would be most horrible. So after her physical exam, it got turned over to the state by law. And I will never forget, I was standing in my living room folding laundry. Because I am one of those, I won't do laundry until there's not a clean pair of underpants left. And so it just so happened I had like 15 loads of laundry piled up on my couch. And I got a knock on the door, and I opened up the door, and it was a social worker from Child Services. And he said, "Hi, I'm from Child Services, and I'm here about this report of child abuse." And I burst into tears. Because I thought they were there to take my kids. I mean, not only was my house a mess, but I allowed this man into my house. And he did this to my child. And as far as I was concerned, I was unfit to be a parent. But I didn't want him to take my kids. And I just burst into tears, and I said, "Please don't take my babies."
You're okay, R. We're right here.
So he calmed me down, and he told me, no, that's not why I'm here. I just have to take a report. I have to do a welfare check. I have to blah, 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 blah. I said, okay. And he asked me, how are you doing? And I was like, how do you think I'm doing? You know, this was my brother, and these were my kids, and I trusted him. And he said, well, here, let me give you some resources. So he hands me a bunch of pamphlets, and it's the Child Advocacy Center, and it's the Rape Crisis Center, and it's the names of several child psychologists that could help out. So I did my part there. I put my kid into the Rape Crisis Center, and I called the child advocates, and I put her into therapy, and I continually got more and more depressed. As I said in the very beginning, I strived to be the perfect parent. And I failed my kid. And I know logically, that's not it. I mean, I had no idea. There was no way for me to know. But that's how I felt.
Right. And, we talked about it last night, or 2 nights ago as well. Logic is rational and reasonable. Emotions are not.
Yeah.
So no matter how much your logical mind knows, your emotional mind's going to still go nuts.
Right.
And we got a little more comments too.
Okay.
You're getting hugs, 1,000 hugs. It's a shame this happens when there are pamphlets for specialists who only take these types of cases. John, again, you didn't fail anyone. You couldn't have predicted this would happen, and especially that this dipshit had done this to other girls. Yeah. And I was told that we have to live stream when Scott and I meet, and everybody agrees.
It's not happening, people. Stop trying to make this a thing.
It's totally going to be a thing.
Whatever. No, it's not.
You looked like you needed a laugh.
You're an ass. Oh. Am I allowed
That's
to
fine.
cuss on there? Okay,
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
You know what?
Okay.
I put the check mark in the fucking explicit language box. We're good.
Sweet. So,
John, majority wins. We want it.
yay, fucking asshole. Um, so I got all of these pamphlets. I got all of these, I put my kid into all of these different therapies. And I was talking to her child therapist one day, and I told her, I'm not doing well. I don't know what to do. So she gave me the name of an adult psychiatrist that worked with parents. And I went to go see him. And what he did was he gave me tools to better help my child. But there were no tools to help me.
Something that I hope has been corrected in the 20-some years.
Eventually I got there. And I can talk a little bit about that towards the end of the story. But there were no tools to help me, so I just kept on keeping on, helping my kid and burying my feelings because I had to get some sort of normalcy going on.
And just a reminder, how old were you at the time? Just so everybody gets an idea of where you were.
21, 22.
Yeah. Literally still without a fully developed frontal lobe. Still just a kid.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So I kept pushing on. The state pressed charges on him, and they put out an extradition order on him. Meanwhile, back in Oklahoma, where all of these other nieces were, and my mom and everybody, I remember the mom who was molested as a child as well. My mom had a meltdown. She had a breakdown, which is to be expected when you find out that your son is a pedo. She had a complete breakdown. She locked herself in her room for about 4 days, crying, refusing to eat, refusing to drink. And then 2 of my 3 sisters got a very brilliant idea, and they went to the police department and they dropped the charges on him. The 3rd sister did not want to drop the charges on him, the one whose daughter was being raped repeatedly over the years while she was in cancer treatment. She did not go and drop the charges. I got phone calls from the other 2 sisters telling me that I needed to go drop the charges because I was killing our mother. And I couldn't do it. I was raised to take care of my children first, and that's what I was doing. The 3rd sister that didn't want to drop charges, those charges ended up getting dropped anyway because the district attorney said they didn't have a case without the other girls.
And as you can imagine, the entire chat room just became a flood of what? WTF? What the fuck? Told you guys on Facebook.
Yeah.
This isn't the only one either.
No. Let me lead you into another one, actually. My mom called me, and she begged me to drop the charges. And I said, Mom, I can't drop the charges. And she said, yes, you can. Everybody else has dropped the charges. And I said, I can't drop the charges because it's not me. It's not me that's pressing charges. It's the state. So even if I wanted to, I couldn't. And she said, what, are you saying you don't want to? And I said, Mom, how could you even ask me that? You were sexually abused. How could you ask me to let my child's sexual abuser go? And she said, well, the difference is I was there when it happened to me. I knew it happened. I think the rest of this is just mass hysteria. So at the most difficult time in my life to date, I didn't even have my mom to lean on. I remember looking at my ex-husband one day, shortly after it had happened, and he just had this look on his face, like completely withdrawn. You could tell he was stuck in his own head. And I knew what he was thinking. at least I thought I knew what he was thinking. And I leaned over and I took his hand and I said, I know that all of this happened while you were gone. I said, and I know that you're thinking that this wouldn't have happened if you were home. Please don't blame yourself for this. And he kind of snapped out of his little trance, and he looked me straight in the eye and he said, why the fuck would I blame myself? You're the one that let him in the house.
And there's another bomb for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, the chat right now. Oh man, I mean, it's going nuts in here. Why would you need the other girls? I mean, doing it to one is bad enough. Oh, don't worry, we're getting there. I know R's getting there. R is very organized. I saw her bullet points. Got a fucking wow from Alora. John again, why is everyone dropping charges? This isn't something you could just scold him and say to him, bad man, don't do that. He needs imprisonment. Get him off the streets. He shouldn't inflict that on anyone else. Brandy, wow. May, just a bunch of letters, followed by no. Scott, needs the firing squad. Kat, holy guacamole, Batman, this is total crap. John, parentheses, starts rummaging through his gun collection with you gotta be kidding on what your ex said, with another holy shit by Kat. Kat censored themselves before, now they're dropping holy shit.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, this story is, and I was right there with you as much as I could be, 3,000 miles away, but we chatted daily.
Yeah, but you didn't know a lot of this because
no, I didn't.
I look on your face when I say this. It's not. You didn't know a lot of it. I kept a lot of it to myself.
And it looks like you may have actually paused your camera on your side.
Uh-oh. Hold on. There we go. All better?
From John. Yep, all better. From John. By the way, as an aside, props to E for keeping the chat moderation relevant and being a good host. Cat smiley face.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. And also, the one that Brandy dropped in I forgot to mention was when I asked you about your age at the time, just to kind of give everybody the scope. Holy cow, so much to deal with at such a young age.
Yeah. I thought I was grown.
Yeah. And John, much love to R.
So sweet.
John is amazing. I've known John for a while. There's a few people in here I don't know. This is really kind of cool. I have people in chat I don't know.
Yeah. So, yeah, I invited a few of my own friends.
Good.
I've never talked about this at length, so I kind of feel like I'm all over the place, which is why I have these 12 pages of bullet points.
She's not kidding. I saw the video of her bullet points.
So after my mom called me and we had that conversation, we got into a really big fight. Obviously, and I said,
that's a big fucking duh.
Yeah. And I said, Mom, are you kidding me right now? I was like, this is my child. I am your child. This man hurt my child. And she said, well, he's my child too. I said, okay, well, if this goes to court, which side of the courtroom are you going to sit on? And she said, I will sit right in the middle of the room. So I took a little bit of solace in that until my mom went missing for 2 weeks. Nobody could find her. She was gone for 2 weeks. Her cell phone was turned off, which wasn't a big deal because back then cell phones weren't that big of a deal. Not everybody had them, but nobody could get a hold of her for 2 weeks. Nobody could get a hold of her, and she was just gone. And then she showed up again one day, and she had taken my brother to an undisclosed location and hid him so that he would not be convicted, since the state of North Carolina was not dropping the charges. So that told me right there what side of the courtroom she would have sat in.
Right. She may have sat in the middle symbolically, but you know where her heart is.
Right.
And I'm sorry that you had to get that lesson.
Yeah. So,
and then John just jumped in. Mother can now be charged with aiding and abetting.
Yeah, I mean, she was close to 70 at the time, and she was my mom. I wasn't going to do that. But it did really, really, really strain our relationship. Even to this day, it's a strained relationship. But about a year went on after that, and I fell into a deeper and deeper and deeper depression, and I blamed myself more and more and more because I knew this man was out there. He had done this to all of my nieces. He had done this to my child. At some point, I made the realization that I had no memories before I was 12 years old, and none of the memories that I did have before then had him in it. So he very well could have done it to me too.
And we just got a new person in the chat, Courtney, fucking raging at the moment. And really fast, my family isn't without this kind of drama, but it was my grandfather, so.
I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, on you.
Yeah, May, she's no longer shaking, she's vibrating.
Oh.
She's pissed.
And she can come sit on my lap if she'd like.
Bexy, oh my god. As a man, how can he live with himself knowing what he's done to these girls? How can he look himself in the mirror and have any self-respect? I asked the same question about my grandfather.
Yeah, exactly. So during that time where he was hiding, I've always had migraines. I've always had really bad migraines. They started to get worse around that time, obviously with stress. I have a true allergy to NSAIDs like Motrin, aspirin, most migraine medications that have those non-steroidal anti-inflammatories in them. So I'd gotten a really, really bad migraine, and I'd gone to the emergency room, and they gave me a bottle of Percocet. And I was going to say there was 20 to 25 in there. This was before the opioid crisis, so they just kind of handed them out. And I treated my migraine, and I still had about half the bottle left. And I remember tucking my daughter into bed one night and just thinking about everything that had happened, and that this man was still out there and he could be hurting somebody else. And my thought was, he got caught this time. What's he going to do to the next one so he doesn't get caught? And I swallowed the remainder of those pills. There was at least 10 of them, at least 10 Percocets. I tucked my kids into bed. I had sex with my ex-husband. I pretended like everything was okay. And when he fell asleep, I got up and I downed at least 10 Percocets. And I went back to bed.
Sounds kind of like acting like everything's okay. I got the knife.
Mm-hmm. And I woke up the next morning. A little sick to my stomach, but I woke up the next morning. And I remember my ex-husband looking at me and going, "Fuck, you slept late. The kids are hungry." He had no idea. I mean, I can't be mad at him about that.
Go ahead, be mad at him. He deserves it.
I can't be mad at him about that because he had no idea what I had done. But it just hit me in this deep, deep, deep part of my stomach that I am all alone. I am all alone in this. There's nobody else to carry this burden but me. So then he got caught. I know that's what everybody was waiting to hear. He got caught.
Ooh, Brandy came up with a good point. He couldn't feed the kids. They're his too.
It's a whole other episode, guys.
Yeah, it really is. It really, really is. And John's gone from 1,000 hugs to 1,000,000 hugs. Bexy's giving hugs. And John again, ex-husband equals what an idiot. Kat, oh, I'm so sad. Wait, they're his kids too? Everyone's like, wait, that's true. They are his kids. Yeah, well, you don't know his ex. Or her ex, so yeah.
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 So
Courtney, I'll be mad at him for you.
That one really wasn't his fault, you guys. So they caught him. He actually had the balls to go back to North Carolina. And
I'm sorry. Scott, I have naked hugs. That caught me totally off guard.
Later. Um, so he had the balls to go back to North Carolina, and he got pulled over for expired tags of all things. And he was up on the other side of the state, and they extradited him. He's in there laughing. What'd you do?
People are telling jokes now. Like, reminds me of the little girl in Mrs. Doubtfire. We're his goddamn kids, too. Brandy, he has balls? Question mark. May. Nix, John. Nux. Proving that he's an idiot from Kat. Yeah, going back to North Carolina, you don't fuck around with North Carolina. I've heard a lot about North Carolina. You don't fuck with North Carolina.
No. So I got a call from the DA, and we went to the DA's office, and the DA said, look, this is what's going to happen. We are charging him with felony rape. We're charging him with incest. We're charging him with something about a person in trust, blah, 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 blah. He's looking at 25 to 30 years. And I said, fucking awesome. Let's do it.
And just like that, the depression started going away.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Better.
You have people that are literally applauding.
Sorry, guys.
Alora, baby, this experience has shaped you into the strong and beautiful soul that you are.
Yeah. Well, I got a call a month later.
And there's KZ.
Oh.
Yes, I'm back, and sorry about the noise. I'm feeding the dogs real quick.
And Bexy, okay. I'm crying and clapping.
Yeah. Well, I got a call a month later from the DA, and she said, I need to talk to you. And I said, okay. So I went in, and she said, look, here's the deal. We have a problem. And I said, okay, what's the problem? And she said, well, in the state of North Carolina, the accuser has the right, or the accused has the right to face the accuser. And I said, awesome. I'd love to look him in the eye. And she said, no, you don't understand. It was your daughter that accused him. And I looked at her and I said, there is no way I am going to ever let that man lay eyes on my child again. Ever. And she said, well, that's the problem, is his attorney is pushing for your daughter to testify. Now, keep in mind, it's been 2 years since this happened, so she's 4.5, maybe 5. And I went, well, if that's the case, can she testify in like a closed courtroom? I don't want him near her. And she said, you don't understand what I'm saying to you. And I said, what am I not understanding? Because, at this point, I'm 24, And she said, if she remembers what happened to her at 2 years old and can eloquently describe it, the attorney is going to say that she was coached. If she doesn't remember and can't eloquently describe it, the charges are going to get dismissed.
It is a catch-22.
Yeah. So she came at me with a plea bargain. And instead of the 25 years, he got 6 months of time served. And the charges were dropped down to indecent liberties with a minor, and he had to register as a sex offender for 5 years.
Going from a baseball bat upside the head to a one-finger slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
So May was saying, so baby rapers in North Carolina could just get off scot-free? The baby rapers can, yes.
Apparently. So obviously that depression came back. And it came back even worse than before. I had homicidal nightmares. I had homicidal thoughts, even more suicidal thoughts. I lashed out at my kids. I lashed out at my friends. I lashed out at everybody. My mom. I quit talking to my siblings. I even blamed my niece that was getting raped repeatedly by him for not telling, because she should have told, damn it. Again, logic versus emotion. I know that was not her. I know.
Right.
But I had no choice, and that's how I justified it in my mind. I still had nobody to talk to. I was still completely alone.
Just to let everybody know, you really shouldn't be planning a homicidal road trip in the chat.
Yeah, please don't. Probably not a great idea.
But that's like literally the only one that hasn't done that so far? Really? John says, so wait, would the outcome have been any different if everyone hadn't dropped the charges initially? Well, then that goes to the state of Oklahoma and how they deal with it, and any other states that you've gone to. And that's when it goes to federal levels. Again, I know this personally because my grandfather did cross state lines, and that's when the feds get involved. So if you have Oklahoma and North Carolina, it becomes federal. But since everybody else dropped the charges, it became just North Carolina. So it was only North Carolina laws. Federal had nothing to do with it.
So much time had passed. I don't think that we could have convinced a jury that she remembered, and she remembered that clearly, even if she did. And I didn't. Maybe I struggle with this every day. Maybe I did the right thing. Maybe I didn't do the right thing. But I had to protect my kid. So I took the plea bargain.
Right. Either that or you risked a very strong possibility of him walking. Really strong possibility.
Of like nothing happening.
Right. And then, Courtney, the laws have kind of changed since then, but it's also different in the southern states. Also, rape cases are almost always less time than other crimes. It's disgusting.
I agree.
And then we were also being told we should have an oleander milk party for your brother. Fuck that guy. And I know where to hide the body. I'm a scuba diver that helps in certain situations with quotes. I could get my hands on caustic acid. Even better. It makes sense. The plea bargain with some punishment is better than no punishment at all. And I agree with John on that one. And Bexy, you protected your child. I agree. You did the best that you could in the situation you were in with the options that were on the table. And I know where some lava tubes are. Just throwing them out there.
Okay, I'm telling you guys, none of you have named off anything that I hadn't already thought of.
I'm pretty sure I offered the lava tubes to you back then, too.
Yeah, probably. And I also had a recurring fantasy of locking him in a woodshed. Like, do you remember the movie Twister where they grab a hold of the pipes?
Yes.
Like a woodshed like that out in the middle of nowhere, and cuffing him to those pipes so he couldn't get away, and covering his dick in honey so that the ants could come and just get him. That was like a recurring fantasy. Just watch him suffer and die slowly.
Got a backhoe offer. Followed by, we're a group of fucked up individuals with all due respect to everyone. And I said, in all the right ways.
And I love all of you for it.
And John loves the idea with the honey. Now, here's one of my best friends came up with. And I still think this is the greatest single way to get someone ever. You strap them over a barrel, pull down their pants, get a gigantic slingshot with a beehive, honeybees, 60,000 bees in a hive, and make it slam straight into the taint.
That'd be great.
And then 60,000 bees attack because that taint shattered the hive. That's brilliant.
That's actually pretty great, actually. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Scott, all you need is diesel fuel. Look, all you need is a road trip out to the desert, a shovel, and some pepper. You put pepper in the dirt so that way none of the animals will dig him up.
Yeah. No, you just, dig them twice as deep as you would a dog.
Of course, we literally are not condoning murdering anyone. These are jokes. No. We are kidding.
Yeah. They're homicidal fantasies that we have about child molesters.
Although John just came up with a great one. We need to find a very well-endowed man to do to him what he did to the other girls.
Oh, he's going to enjoy the last part, isn't he?
Oh, yes, he is.
Yeah.
May fire in the hole!
So that was in 2001 that everything went down. So everything was done 2003. I want to say. I struggled. I let my kid down. I let my nieces down. I let everybody down. I let this killer or this abuser out onto the streets. You guys got me saying killer now because we're all talking about murdering him. But I let him out onto the streets. I didn't have a choice. So
You literally, I mean, you had it. If he was going to walk or he's going to get time serve and walk. Either way, he was walking, is what it looked like.
Yeah.
So let's be rational here.
Yeah. So, it was hard, and I had nobody to talk to and nobody to vent to, and I just felt so alone. Especially, I was still the stay-at-home mom. The ex-husband was still in the army, gone all the time, and I was shouldering all of this, trying to make sure that my kids were okay still, and still not necessarily trying to be perfect because it was hard enough to get myself up in the morning. I finally found some peace though. And you may remember this when I got into this. I stumbled into a bookshop because I wanted a book on tarot cards. I wanted to learn how to read tarot cards.
I remember this.
And I got to talking with the shop owner, and she ended up being my mentor. She was a Wiccan priestess, and she taught me all of the ways of the dirty heathenism. But I really, really found my peace in that religion. I would go on hikes out in North Carolina where, it's hot and it's humid and there's bugs, but it's beautiful landscapes. And I would stop and I would find the beauty in a leaf that was fluttering to the ground, or in a cloud that was covering the sun and blowing across. I went out and I found beauty in everything around me. And eventually I was able to find peace within myself. I no longer practice that. As the years went on, I found more spirituality as a person than relying on a religion itself. But
and it seems like what you really learned in all of that was mindfulness.
Yeah, absolutely. Do I still struggle with that guilt? Absolutely. I don't think that will ever go away. Especially.
And your daughter's now a college graduate, just so everybody understands how long this was.
Yeah, she just graduated with a degree in psychology. She went into psychology because she wanted to help people. But and her older brother is married and has given me 2 grandkids. This was a very, very long time ago.
Beautiful grandkids too.
I still struggle with that guilt. I still wonder if I did the right thing. I destroyed, well, he destroyed, but the way that I saw it at the time was I destroyed my relationship with my mom by coming forward with this. I was always very close to my mom. I destroyed my entire family. Like, everything shattered because of this, because I wouldn't back down. And, it was so hard to find that peace. So once I did, I locked onto it. But the guilt is still there. The what ifs are still there. And then I found out that in 2005.
Is this the screenshot you sent me?
Yeah. In 2005, he was arrested and convicted of second-degree rape on a 6-year-old girl.
In the state of? North Carolina. You don't fuck with North Carolina. He may have gotten away once.
Yeah, which is, I think, what happened. I think he thought he could get away with it.
Yep.
And just so everybody knows, I looked it up. Second-degree rape in the state of North Carolina is forcible vaginal intercourse.
Yeah, so what determines first degree, I don't know. Do you shove animals up there? Because, vaginal intercourse is second degree?
I don't know.
Meanwhile, going back a little bit,
Bexy
was saying, you listen to your child. I wish someone had believed me.
Oh.
John, when he is in prison, if the other inmates find out he's a child molester, it'd be all over for him. Yeah. A lot of those people in prison, they have kids.
I actually have a funny story about that I didn't put in my notes if you guys want to hear about it.
And also, John's like, I need these kinds of listeners on my podcast. And then you're getting a lot of, you're amazing, that's beautiful, you're an amazing young woman. You not backing down and sticking up for your daughter was the right thing to do, and probably saved your relationship with your daughter. And then the celebration, yeah, he got arrested and convicted for second-degree rape. Yes, rotten hell, asshole. Amen, John. I second that. First degree equals in the butt, not to be disgusting. Courtney, Courtney, he destroyed everything, and your mom destroyed that relationship. You did your best, and you're amazing. Courtney, 100%. Anonym, hi. So we have an anonymous in here now.
Hi.
But yeah, I have to agree. It's not you that destroyed the relationship. Your brother destroyed the relationship with what he did. Because without him doing that, none of the situation would have occurred. None of it. Blame him.
But again, we go back to logic versus emotion.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And the guilt and everything that I put on my plate. So when I think about that, I think, could I have prevented that? Could I have saved that little girl? No, I couldn't have. Because, like you said, either he walked or he walked.
Yep.
Even
if you took your daughter with you to the store that day, and your son, and he didn't do anything to your daughter, he still would have done everything that he did. And maybe he would have got away with that 6-year-old instead of getting nailed this time. Because you know the state had a nice sharpened knife waiting for him.
God, yeah. He is such an idiot. I can't believe out of all the states in the world, you would do it in North Carolina.
And then Kat, tell me he had Bubba as a cellmate. That's like multiple times. The cat keeps asking about Bubba. Please tell me it's Bubba.
Kat, I will tell you a story about him while he was in jail that I may or may not have had something to do with it.
Oh, but, John will get there. He's asking about that was a while ago. Where is he now? We'll get there. And May, we'll get there on the sentence.
Can't talk. He is currently on probation. He served, I believe, 7 years. He was released in 2012 or 2013. And he is a lifetime registered sex offender, but he is currently on probation.
And Alora, so I'm guessing the reason for the horrible breakup with his girlfriend? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
just maybe.
From what I'm guessing that the 6-year-old was his girlfriend's child.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah. So the main reason that I have never talked about this in depth with anybody. I mean, like you found out things that you didn't know.
Exactly. And I've known you for over half my life now.
Yeah. There's not a lot of resources out there. There's not a lot of support out there for the parents that go through this. There's not a lot of thought about the parents that are taking care of the kid that has been sexually abused, that what goes through the parents' heads and the support for them. If you don't keep yourself strong and healthy, you're going to be useless to your kid. And I found that out the hard way.
Right. And actually, I put that in the chat a little bit, was that, you can't take care of anybody else if you can't take care of yourself. So the best way to take care of others is self-care.
Yeah. And but that's the thing is, at the time when I was going through it, there was no care for me. Like when I went to therapy.
They had tools for your kids, for you.
Yeah. When I went to therapy for myself, I was given tips on how to help my child, which I greatly appreciated. Don't get me wrong. And I feel really selfish, but what the fuck? What about me, dude? And that's kind of how I left every session, thinking, what about me? And then I just felt really guilty going, oh God, it's not about me. It's about her. But
it's about you too. That's the thing.
Like I hope that nobody listening today ever has to go through this. But the point of me coming here today is if anybody is going through this right now, or if anybody in the future hears this.
I'm muting KZ. He's making a lot of noise. He's not even in here.
Yes, he is. I want people to hear this story, and I want them to know that those feelings that you have, the homicidal feelings, the guilt, the not feeling good enough, like you failed, I want you to know that that is all normal. Those are all valid feelings, and I validate those feelings for you.
Absolutely.
But you have to find peace within yourself. And vengeance is not the way to go. It's not going to vengeance isn't going to fix anything. So even though, we've all talked about murdering them and dumping them in, lava tubes and caustic acid and the ants and the beehives and, it's all great. It's all great fantasies, and it's all
Exactly.
like almost a healthy outlet to get that rage out. But it's not going to solve it. It's not going to unhurt your kid. It's not going to unhurt you. It's not going to unhurt your family. If anything, it's going to cause more problems. So don't go the vengeance route. Find help. Find somebody that will listen to you, that will help you, and find that inner peace.
Exactly.
That's what I'm here to tell everybody after all of that. Find your peace.
All right. And again, like you were saying, I mean, even if you did get him, well, now you have murder one on your head. Do you really want that?
Yeah, like I said, it's causing more problems if you actually do manage to go through with those homicidal thoughts.
Yeah, and Kat gave us a damn it, Gumby.
Okay, well, I can back up and we could talk about a little bit of vengeance that I got on him. Just a little bit. Will that make everybody happy?
I'm sure it will. And John said, and there will always be a support system. It'll be different for everybody, but let the support system be there for you and accept the help they'll give you. And that's kind of part of what this podcast is about, too. You have a support system here. There are plans, like I've said before, on getting up a website and forums where the discussions could keep going beyond the show, where we can help each other out, where we can share resources.
Yeah.
And this will be part of it. Ha! May to the pain.
To the pain.
Princess Bride quotes. Thank you.
Okay, so when he got extradited and brought to jail, before he pulled the whole "I want to face my accuser" bullshit, he was sitting in jail. My mom called me crying. Yeah, another one of the please drop the charges. He doesn't belong in jail. People found out what he had done, and the guards are turning their eyes to when the inmates beat on him, so he's not safe there. And I said, "Oh, okay, Mom. What I'll do is I'll call the jail. And I'll see how he's doing." And she said, "You will?" And I said, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that for you. I was like, I don't care how he's doing for myself, but since it's such a big deal to you, I'll call the guards and I'll ask them how he's doing. And they said, okay. And so I hung up with her and I called the jail and I said, "Hey, this is my name and my brother, he's in jail for this, doing this to my child, and I was calling to check and see how he's doing." And they said, "You're calling to check and see how he's doing after he did that to your kid?" Like I could hear just judgment oozing out of this guard's voice. And I said, "Well, yeah, I was calling because he told our mom that the inmates and the guards have been beating him up for being a child molester." The guard said, "Oh, is that what he's saying?" I said, yeah. Apparently the inmates are beating him up and the guards aren't doing their job by protecting him. And they even get a few licks in every once in a while. So I just wanted to make sure he was okay. And the guard said, would you like me to go check on him? I said, "Well, it's kind of late." He goes, yeah, it was lights out about 30 minutes ago. You want me to go check on him? Me and a couple of my buddies can go do it. And I said, that'd be great. That'd be great if you could just go check on him and see how he's doing. He goes, "All right, that's cool." And so to the best of my knowledge, he was fine when they went and checked on him.
Damnedest thing, ice formed in the middle of North Carolina prison.
I also know when he was released shortly thereafter, he was in a cast and still had black eye a couple weeks later. So I don't know when that happened, but I like to believe that they beat the shit out of him.
I have friends and family that are correctional officers, yeah, sometimes it's really important for them to make sure that they take care of the inmates.
Right. Yeah, he did. He promised that him and a couple of his coworkers or, fellow guards would go and check on him and make sure that he was okay. So,
make sure he was getting the protection he deserved.
I believe he said something along those lines. Yeah. So, I mean, I at least got that little dig in. I at least got that much in.
We are getting laughs. We're getting celebration horns. We're getting yes. Take care of the inmates. LMFAO. Or LMFAO. Karma. Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. That was Kat, by the way, just so you know. You caught her as she was trying to get a drink of water. Perfect timing, Kat. Yeah, we almost had an Asner. Asner, acute sinus nasal reflux. Yep.
Yeah. So that's my story. Took a little longer than I expected it to.
Yeah.
Sorry guys.
Yeah, actually, because of the first season only being 45 minutes, I made a note where we were in my head at 45 minutes. You hadn't even gotten to the... we were just starting to drop bombs. Just starting to.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I was a little drawn out there, but...
well, it needed to be said. And
I mean, there are a lot of details in there that I didn't feel like I could leave out.
No, I agree. And I'm glad that you went to the extra mile on this. I'm glad you... seriously went and dug deep and really went full detail.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think, that, as you're saying, you've never gone full detail before.
No.
So this is probably going to be good for you, too, just getting it all out like that.
I think so. At one point in time, and I may still do it, my degree is in journalism, so I'm a writer. And I wanted to write a self-help book geared towards parents that could be distributed out for free at these counseling centers to the parents that are bringing their kids there. Get with psychologists and counselors and crisis counselors and things like that, and really get together and not necessarily go through and tell my story, but tell the story and validate them and tell them, get out there in nature and find your peace. Go to church, find it there. Quit being angry at God. There's so many emotions that happen. And I would still like to do that at one point in time. But
if you start it and you get a GoFundMe, we'll go ahead and advertise that. I'll talk to Rachel Conway, the one person that we advertise and who's coming on again soon. General Psychological Services, down in Mission Valley and Encinitas. I'm sure that she would have the ability to at least give some input on maybe how to get that done, and she might even be one of the first ones willing to take that book. I'm not going to speak on her behalf, but she might. You
could. It's just, at this point, I mean, I've been trying to do this for 20 years now. And I've had a block. I look at a blank Word document. I know what I want to say, and I've had a block. So maybe doing this and going full throttle and opening way up will clear it. I'm hoping.
And if you have to, listen to this episode and start transcribing. Once you start the writing and you start flowing, you can always pause it and just keep flowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone's saying, do it. Do it. Also, Kat wants to know John's podcast. Yeah, we have actually a couple of podcasters in here. So, yeah, it's actually kind of nice having this little community going on here. Yeah, John's is not related to the subject-wise. Yeah, he's more of a movie guy. May is a porch drunkie, which I've been on the Porch Drunkies. It was the very first podcast I was ever on. Definitely a lot of fun. Sit on their back porch, drinking, and just shooting the shit.
How do I sign up for that one?
Right? No, seriously.
That one sounds less traumatic than this one, for sure.
Yeah, no, it's a good one. But yeah, everyone is thanking you for opening up. They love you. I mean, you're getting so much love. I'm just going to say everybody in the chat has shared their love to you. There's too many to go through. This thing is flooding.
You guys are gonna make me cry.
Yeah, Scott too.
Yeah.
Love hearing you tell your story. You are so strong. He's kind of special, so I'm gonna go ahead and single his out.
Yeah.
Oh, John has 2 podcasts. Nice. Yep, and Bexy, I need links to these podcasts. Okay, guys, I'll tell you what. John, May, send me, you guys have my DMs. Send me your links, and I'll drop them in the Facebook posting of this podcast for others to go ahead and check out. But yeah, no, you're getting a lot of love, R. And KZ, you're in the doghouse.
No, it was dog food.
I didn't even actually mute him. I was getting ready to. Did he mute himself?
No, I didn't mute myself. I've just been quiet since you said you were going to mute me.
Hi, Scott. Yeah, no, this is John. Who's KZ? I don't know any KZ. Yeah, John's offered to replace you.
You replace Scott or KZ?
KZ.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there's one. PorchDrunkies.com. Bexy gave me a thanks. Aw, you're welcome. No, everybody that's listened to this podcast, hopefully by now, at least all the regulars, know why I do this. I'm doing this to help. I'm trying to get rid of the stigma and trying to let everybody know that you are not alone. Anyone that's suffering. Your situation and your experiences could very well be unique to you throughout the entirety of human existence, but your emotions are not. There are only so many emotions that one could feel, and everybody eventually feels them. And when you're suffering, you're going to find a lot of people that suffer too, in a lot of the same ways. And John's advertising, casualmovieclub.com and IamJohnBamber.com.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, you're really, really quiet, though. You're a mile away.
Okay, yeah, I unplugged my headphones because I was getting sweaty. It's hot.
All right, well, the mic's auto-adjusted. Yay for Macintosh with the auto-gain adjustment. By the way, who gave you that, or helped you get that Mac? Oh, some guy.
Some dude that had a hard-on for me.
Had? I got Scott busted up in the background, too.
Everybody meet the man. He came in to join us now that we're at the end of the episode.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of laughing in here. Such an original name. May said, very good one. When one suffers, we all suffer. True.
That's absolutely true.
Absolutely true.
And like I said, I would just encourage everybody to not bottle it up and to find that support system and to find that peace when you're suffering through something like that. Because you're never alone. You never have to be alone.
Exactly. And John's all, well, E didn't know I had a hard-on for him, but I won't mention that. Oh, wait. I replied back, of course, I'm hot as AF, so. Bexy, John, don't inflate the ego more. Yeah, I won't be able to get out of my room. I'm going to be stuck in here. Wait, my phone's ringing. Macy's? Parade? My head? Ours. So, yeah, anybody have any questions that they want to throw towards R? Because now would be the time. This is a good time for a Q&A.
Absolutely.
But definitely, get that book out there. I'm gonna throw that line out there that we always hear. If it could only save one life. There's the eye roll. And meanwhile, my cat's trying to climb on my shoulders.
Does anybody have any questions?
So far, no questions. I know that there's a little bit of a delay between what we say and what they hear. From my own timing, it's about 7 seconds.
Ah.
I will say this, though. Everybody was talking about different means of taking care of a problem.
Let's just say that he has a very awesome toy.
Let's just say he just gave me like a giant lady boner. That's what just happened.
I've seen the picture of your lady boner. It's giant. Not gonna lie.
It's impressive.
Yes. All right. So, Alora, how are you feeling now about talking about it?
Emotionally drained. Still a bit anxious, kind of like that, stuck between fight and flight. That hasn't gone away all day. I don't think it will until after I get some sleep.
I mean, you brought up memories from 20 years ago. Just had to trudge them up. That's brutal.
Yeah.
And I will tell you one thing. This is something that we know, like last season, we never really talked about on the air, but it is something that does happen. And all the past guests that are in the chat can attest to this. After doing one of these episodes, we find that you're going to ride a high for a few days.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. Like a lot of people, after they're done, they may feel a little anxious and drained and all that, but afterwards they wake up the next morning and they just feel this natural high. I get a little bit of it every episode. I know that KZ does as well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, let's hope.
Good way to go into the weekend. There's a little bit of a buzz going on.
Some endorphins going on.
Yep. John said you deserve that high, though, because your support network just got so much bigger. Bexy, thank you for fighting, for giving voice to this. As Bexy was one of the unheard victims, as she mentioned earlier. She alluded to it by saying, I wish someone would listen to me, so obviously that's got to be what that means.
I'm sorry nobody fought for you, Betsy. I would have.
I would have. I still do. I know Bexy. Bexy's awesome.
Fight for her, not with her.
Whatever she wants, I'm in her corner.
Because that's all you ever do for me is fight with me.
Well, I mean, fight with as it's side by side. Not fight against. Jeez. Do we have any other questions? I mean, we've covered a lot of stuff. KZ, you have any questions? Even though you missed like 80% of the episode?
I know, but we had our short rendition of it the other day.
Yes, we did.
Emotional stuff. I cried.
You cried again. Bexy's saying that I'm her ride or die.
Mine too.
Yep. John measured it. KZ missed 96.23% of the episode. Of course,
Well, aren't you special? That you should have been paying more attention to the episode and not paying attention to how long I was gone.
Ooh! And also, John earlier said something really great. It was a great comeback. When your mom said that he doesn't belong in prison. And he was like, well, he also his hand didn't belong in the pants of young girls either.
No, did not.
Kat, your spoken words are wonderful. Write a book with your whole story and we'll buy it. John, KZ, I can multitask, bitch. Wow, shots fired. But don't forget, 87.23% of all statistics are made up on the spot.
I thought it was 94.
Right.
I don't know, I just made that up. I don't see any other questions coming in.
Well, I appreciate you having me.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on here. I know that we talked about it when I was first starting this whole thing for season 1. I'm glad we waited for season 2 when we had more time because holy crap, we are getting close to doubling what we used to run.
Yeah, I could have condensed it for the 45 minutes, but I don't think that it would have been as helpful for me or anybody that may listen to it and need to hear it.
No, it wouldn't have done the story justice. And that's also why we're bringing back AJ this season. You remember AJ?
You?
Yeah. There was a little poll on the Facebook page, and not a lot of people voted on it, but the votes did get AJ. So AJ's coming back.
Yes.
Yeah, so for the new listeners, AJ is a survivor of a Christian cult. So...
Interesting episode.
God, that episode, I mean, there's like the chat was dead. It was packed, but dead because everyone was just enthralled.
Yeah.
It was a hell of an episode. And then KZ and I, we spoke after the episode with her for like 45 minutes more.
Oh, yeah.
So about like what we're doing now.
Yes. John, nothing but love for everyone. I guess even KZ. Also, there's something cathartic about sharing things like this. I'm truly blessed and honored to have been able to share in your story. And I hope you find more peace and light from this. That's also from John. John is a great, great guy.
Thank you.
My Facebook is a little bitch and hides all the cool stuff from my feed.
Mine too.
Yeah, well, you gotta set the alerts to put mine on top. Also, if you guys want to help us out, like this episode, follow us, whatever your platform is. Obviously, Sprecher would be best. That way you get alerts and stuff. If you have the Sprecher app, would appreciate that. And also go ahead and follow us on Facebook. You know, fb.com/mentallivecast. And John, I'm going to bring my podcast to this forum and do scheduled live broadcasts. I love this format. Copycat. No, do it. Seriously, this platform is awesome. They don't spam you. They don't sell your information. I love this. John, yes, we are going to be setting up a Patreon. I've been a little bit busy. If people were paying attention to my TikTok account, my Facebook page, we had a death in the family on 4th of July, so we're dealing with that right now. But we will be doing LibraPay. We will be doing Vimeo. We will do PayPal, and we'll also do a Patreon. And because of the way that Patreon works, we have to do something special for the people that donate. We've decided that we're going to do a monthly donors episode where we get your feedback about the show. I think that would be a really good idea. So that way we can kind of get a better idea of, you know, what you guys like, what you don't like, what we can improve on, who you'd like to hear come back, stuff like that.
Who you'd like to replace.
KZ. I mean, and thank you, Kat, for smashing that like button. John, our podcast is Patreon, but we have no patrons. Oh, ouch. And thank you, John, for the sorry for your loss. Yeah, I know. I've been seriously, our family has been blessed with the amount of support that we're getting from everybody. Just to make it a little bit more clear, it's actually my in-laws' side. So I'm doing okay. I have to be a rock right now. And their family is very secluded, I guess was a good way to put it. Or they're very, very tight, and they don't like a lot of outside stuff. So, you know, again, we do definitely appreciate all the love. John, I know how to show up for a recording session on time, and I'll throw my hat in the ring to replace KZ. Alora, we don't have Facebook or Twitter. Yeah, I'm banned from Twitter. So, yeah, like IP ban. That makes it fun.
I mean, personally, I think you need a female personality on your show.
KZ, there's people gunning for your spot right now.
You know,
Both of you, I'm not trying to get a spot. I'm saying
Hey, you know what? Maybe though, you know, somebody can take my spot, and I might get a chance to actually be on the show again.
Ouch! Had you responded faster when we actually had spots. He's pointing and laughing at me now.
No, she just lost her water.
Oh, I missed it! You got the Asner attack?
Oh,
yes!
out of my nose. But I was not trying to replace KZ. I'm saying you guys need a female influence.
So you're saying a second co-host?
Or third one, whatever.
Well,
yeah. Not
okay.
even all the time. You just need some lady perspective as a co-host.
I mean, you
Not
all...
me.
Yep, Kat, I vote for R as the female. John totally agrees. I don't know if it's agreeing with you being the one, or just that there needs to be a female.
That out there, not me.
Yeah. As long as you show up on time, KZ. Alora, like R. Yeah, you're being voluntold.
Nah, bruh.
You know, and actually that's that was one thing that has come across, you know, as an expansion thing is if we get to the point where the chat starts getting really overwhelming, that we may need to bring in extra people, moderation, stuff like that. And even to the point where it's like, you know, KZ and I may not even have time to be on the chat because it's just going to be such a flood. And they just have someone messaging us, here's a good question, stuff like that. And yeah, John actually brought in a really good point here. My friend Tina, as guest co-host Casual Movie Club, it brings a great perspective.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe not all the time, but every once in a while. Bring a lady in to keep you boys honest.
As your cat's walking around back there. As if we're dishonest on this thing. All right,
no,
so
this one anyway.
Yeah, at this point we've kind of dissolved into like just totally off subject now.
And I have to sign off. I am an hour ahead of you guys.
Yes, you are.
I got to work at 6.
Ooh. And I'm not going to give anything away, but apparently somebody who's a female voice on the show right now, their teeth are floating because they have to pee so bad.
No, she walked away while you guys were bantering.
Oh.
You did.
Yeah, see, I have the main Sprecher thing up, so all I get's a little video pop out of only one person at a time.
Gotcha. No, I walked away. I couldn't do it anymore.
And again, from John, love you, R. Thank you so much for sharing with us. All the best.
Thank you, guys.
John nailed it right there. Thank you very much. You've been fantastic.
Thank you. Have a great night, guys.
Thank you, Kat. Just got the first live and did a good job as a host. Thank you again. Love you, R. Good night. Thank you for sharing. And even after the episode ends, there's going to probably be a few more quick pop-ins with the chat. So, yeah. All right, everybody. Until next week, this is E and KZ, and this is Am I Mental?